Hi, today is day one of our session, ABAP course,
Mm.
ECC, and I'm going to start. So these are the agenda which I have thought to, complete over the period of time. So unit one will be on the system architecture and this will be on the object navigator, and then we will move on to ABAP dictionary, and then this basic ABAP statements where we will be doing the reporting, ABAP reports. So basically, this ABAP, which we say, it has RISEF objects. Okay, so RISEF as in reports, interfaces, conversions. So if you see these up till this will be the introduction till unit 3, and these are very important. This ABAP dictionary, from ABAP dictionary onwards, it will be very, very important. And so this is for the reports. So data retrieval is again related to the reporting only. These are some analysis tools like how our reports work and all this thing. Going forward, I'll keep on adding the slides in here. Okay. And then we'll have the conversions, as I said, reports, conversions, then interfaces, RIC, conversions are there, then the function modules and WAPI, and after that, like, we'll have some debugger sessions, then forms, and there is one more thing is that enhancements. Okay,
Mhm.
RISEF objects, and like, if time will permit, we'll go to this WebDyn Pro, and also I'll try to introduce to you to workflow, the basic concepts of workflow, but I've not mentioned it. If like time permits, we'll go beyond that. Okay, so let's start with this unit 1, where you will be actually learning about the architecture of the SAP NetWeaver application server, as well as the execution of this thing. So if you see this, this is the 3-tier client server network of this SAP system. So what you see here is the SAP GUI. So this one is the SAP GUI, and this particular thing, whatever we will see, will be on the SAP presentation share. Okay, server, and this there is another server called as the application server layer and the database server layer. Normally what you do is, like, when you install, so I hope that you all would have installed the SAP GUI, which we call this one, right? GUI installation,
Mhm.
and that will be in the presentation server layer. Okay, the lowest level will be the database layer, where all the tables and data will be managed, and the data will be managed with the help of a relational database management system. Like, I think in the, like, if you would have gone through the BTech or BE course, like for the graduation, you would have read some subject called as RDBMS, right? Relational database management system, based on that only. And so this data includes, apart from the application data, the program and the metadata that the system requires for the self management.
Mhm.
Okay, the application, the this ABAP program, it runs at the application server level. Okay, that is both the application provided by SAP and the ones which you develop yourself. We call it as like the custom programs, right?
Mhm.
So there are certain standard programs which you must be aware. Like, while you like, since you have SD related knowledge, so you would be aware that, like, there are certain standard programs which runs behind, like when you do the config and all. So the
Mhm.
standard programs run, right?
Mhm.
Similarly, we also create the custom application program. Why we go for the custom application programs? Because of the, in the projects, they want certain customization, right? And not everything is mentioned in the standard programs. That's why whenever we want any customization, we will create the custom programs. So the ABAP programs, whatever we create, that, like, it reads the data from the database, process the data, and possibly it also stores the data. Okay, and in case of the presentation server layer, this level contains the user interface, where each user will have the access to the program. They can enter the new data and receive the results of the work process.
Mhm.
Okay, so if you see this, like, this is where like you will be generating the screen, and there will be certain screen elements will be there, right? Selection screen where the user will send the request, and this is where the dispatcher will work, and the request will be all in the queue. There will be divided into separate dialog work processes, and then in the SAP program will be here, the program, the table, and everything will be in the buffer, and then it will in the backend what it will do is it will send the request to the database server, and then this request response things comes into the picture. Okay. And this ABAP programs are basically processed on the application, this application server. The design of this user dialog and the database access is of particular importance whenever we are writing the application program. Okay. The user, so generally what happens is the user is only interested in how his or her business transaction flows. So if the user can enter and get the output, that is what the user needs. Okay. The technical aspects of the programming are less interesting to the user. He doesn't want to know behind what is going on. It's just that we should know, as a developer we should be aware that what it happens. Like suppose for example I create a report here and I use a select query. So in the backend, so whatever screens are generated, it sends a request and this process actually happens, right? So uh, basically this application server layer and the data service layer would be the black box for a user. This two will be a black box. They don't understand what is going on in between. The user doesn't know what's going on in these layers. Okay. So there are typically three different types of screens. One is this standard screens, the selection screens, and the list. So standard screen is like your VA01, VA02. So let me show you this. So if I'll tell you like how to add the this particular server and all, how to add it, but later on. But I'm just showing you how you would have seen already this VA01 screen and VA02 screen like this. So these will all be the standard screens. And in the custom screen, whatever, say for example, let's see if they have created any custom screen or not. This one. So this kind of a classical ABAP user dialog would be a kind of a custom screen. Okay, and you could see that like there are certain programs. Say for example, think in this is a standard program. This particular thing, whatever we do, is the selection screen. Okay, each type of the screen provides different services to the user. Okay. So that is what, like whatever I said, and where is that? Okay.
So ABAP is the front end which we do, or front end and also the back end programming also?
No, backend, basically backend. So when you say ABAP, the code, backend code is written in the ABAP. Okay.
And front end?
But when you go to the front end, that is like UI of like Fiori. Okay. So
Okay.
they probably use this JavaScript.
Okay.
Okay. So that's what.
So for Fiori, we need to learn JavaScript. JavaScript is
Huh.
mandatory.
Huh.
Okay.
Some basic concepts of JavaScript, and I think that's the one which you will require. So, say for example, whenever a user logins to the screen, right, system, a screen is displayed from the screen, right? This user can start this ABAP program through this menu path. Okay, so this is that menu path. So, uh,
Okay.
what we will do is
One
we
question
will
here.
first, yeah.
So how ABAP is different in ECC and in HANA? So is it same, or look and feel is same, or coding is same, or there is some difference?
Look and feel will be same, but there is something called as the column level calculations which happens, right? So push down techniques will be there. There will be CDS views, O data in S4 HANA. So
Okay.
what is happening here is the basic difference, I would say, in a layman term is like if you see now here,
Mm-hmm.
so whenever we write programs in the select query, every time what we do is like, say for example, when we write from customers, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what it does is it always hit this database server,
Right.
and mostly the calculation will be row level, okay. But in case of the S4 HANA,
Mm-hmm.
what it does is generally all the calculation will itself happens in that code push down technique, okay. So you must be aware of the CDS views and the O data, right? So every calculation will be happening in the database layer itself. So
Okay.
it doesn't put lot of pressure like every time there will it will not hit the database. The calculation itself it will happen. So that is where it becomes faster.
Okay.
Okay. So the column level calculation it happens in there, and there are like lot of other differences as well. So I mean there is a separate. I think these people only what Ankita they are only doing this S4 HANA trainings as well.
Okay. So
So
one
that
question. So if after this training, if I put effort, I can learn ABAP for HANA as well, right? From myself.
yeah, yeah, definitely. See, when I started my career, I was only aware of this ABAP thing. I
Mm-hmm.
only learned, so there are like lot of, although you can take a training and all, but if you put little bit of efforts and all, so you can learn as for HANA. But I will tell you, theoretical knowledge is different. Getting
Mm-hmm.
into the project is different.
Got it.
Okay. So you will only learn the concepts here, but
Mm-hmm.
when you really work in the project, you get any projects and all, there that on-job training is more important.
Got it.
Okay. So that's the reality, sadly. So what happens is when we install this SAP logon, right, you must be aware that, okay, so how to add these things, right? You have a, so when you create it, a particular connection. Okay, so basically what happens, these are the things which are already coming into the feature because it's a, okay, first let's see what is the version of this one. So currently I think 750 will be, this is 740 final release, which is
But we are
on
using 770.
770 is going on,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So that's the thing. So probably this SAP logon pad which they have given is it of the 740, and since they wanted to be in the ECC, we are fine, just fine with this. Okay, lot of features have come in 770 as well, and all the ABAP 7.5 syntaxes are probably you can use it in there. And like when you try to create a connection here, right? So first you have to give this description and application server, whatever, your company will provide instance number and system ID. And then once you provide this, you finish it, and then you will have a credentials here, right? Whenever you double click on this one, you will see this page. Okay. So sometimes what happens is in your projects, so there will be there you will have a development client, the quality client, and the production client, right? So in the development client, there might be two clients. Say for example, for a assumption, I will tell you now here you are seeing 800. There will also be having 900 inside the programs. Okay. First of all, whenever you log in with this particular credentials and give the language here, so whenever you want to write any program now, say for example, if you come here and in this menu path, whatever, so you know like what is the transaction codes, right? The transaction codes
Mm-hmm.
are the channels through which you can enter into multiple screens, okay, standard
Right.
screens. So for example, SC38 is a transaction code through which we are able to create a
Program.
program, ABAP editor. So generally
Mm-hmm.
in the project level, whenever you go, definitely you will not be working on a local this thing, right? Only except for the internal projects. Whenever you go into project, you will see that now it is allowing me to create anything. If I try to create, say for example like this, if I try to create, it is not there, then it will not ask me anything. But in the project they will ask for a developer access key. Okay,
Mhm.
once you put the developer access key, then only, and that developer access key you have to ask to your manager or your base system. Okay, and then only you will be able to create this object. So in this 800 clients, so what I was telling is, so let's say you have you have a dev client which will have one client for development. Okay, but here the real time data will not be there. Okay, real time data will not be there.
Mhm.
Okay, and then there will be a 900 where actually you will test that. You will not be able to test it like the SIT, system integration testing.
Mhm.
Correct? There are few phases of testing as well. System integration testing, unit testing. Then when it moves to the quality, then you have a quality, which is a replica of a production, but not exact production. And see, this quality will be a user testing will happen here, right? Here it will be the developer and the functional testing. Correct? User is who gives us the requirement. Correct, so they will do it in this, and once the go live happens, that means all the development objects will be moving to production. Okay, here also you will not have any edit access or creation access or anything.
Mhm.
Okay, nothing you will have. Only whenever all the programs in a particular project are developed, then it moves to quality. And for all this movement, there is a concept called as transport management. We will learn bit by bit on this thing. Okay, so when you go to this, like, when I was telling you that okay, you have to go via this SE38, right? First, what you can do is like you can come here, and before we create to first go and check all the standard programs whatever is there, right? So say for example, let's say I want to check any standard program, uh, stat calculator, right? So if you want to see, okay, any standard program, like for example this thing, you can analyze this piece of code what it is written, right? Like how in the, like if a person doesn't know English, what he does is he watches a lot of English movies, right? And he understands the tries to understand and learn the language. Similar is the case, either you read it or you learn it by viewing it. Correct? So this is one of the standard programs. So what happens is, any standard program, if you see, it can start with any letter, but any custom program, if you want to see, it will always start with a Z as in Z. Okay, we call it a Z or Z or Y. Okay, so this is a custom program. Always your custom program will start with this, and any other things like which starts with E, A, F, P, whatever, it will come into the standard program. Okay, so say for example, if I display it here, so this is a particular program where they have used a standard function module. Okay, I will go to the function module later, but just see around what is in there. Okay, when you execute it, so you can also execute it from here, right? So what it happens, it's a pocket calculator. Whatever, like if you want to do this, correct? Just a minute. Into save. Huh. Can you see this calculator? So this is how they have actually the different standard programs, and I'm just running a simple calculator here, right? So what I've done is I've just searched a particular program, and I'm running this program, and this particular particular that execute button, right? Whenever you clicked on it, then what it does is like it will show you this particular calculation. Similarly, there is another program, like I'm just choosing any random programs, whatever you can just see it, right? Um, so this is like for a sample program. So I will tell you about all these icons as well. Why it is very important, right? Why I'm not completely running directly to the ABAP dictionary, because these are also very important thing. If you
Mhm.
want to debug, debugging is also another particular subject, how to debug and all. If
Mhm.
you want to save any particular, say for example, here you have this execution button. This is like very useless. Say for example, I want to see that this particular program where it is used. Okay, you can like select everything. So this icon is for selecting everything, this icon is to unselect everything. Okay, and if you just see, so this program has not been used, but there are certain function modules and all which you can see, okay, where it is used. And based on that, you can just like check what is the code written for the function module. Suppose there will be one requirement for you to say that, like, I want to see the material availability.
Mhm.
Okay, material availability. uh, I'm not sure if you're understanding completely, but I'm just saying you so that you will be accustomed to all these names and all. Say for example, there is a thing called as a material availability, okay, or a stock
Mhm.
requirement. You must be aware that in our SAP there are like 75 modules, right? More than
Mhm.
75 modules. And in part of SD and MM, you come across certain things called as material, then plant, purchase order, material availability, and we use lot of function modules to get those material availability. Okay, so whenever you go to any particular material availability function module, you in your project, say for example, there is a requirement, you want to get the material availability. What you do, if you don't know how to use that particular function module, what you will do is you will do a various list and check how it has been used in other programs. Based on that, you can get an input. Okay, these are the particular parameters which I need to put in, and I can use it, right? Similarly, if you want to copy this particular program and want to, say for example, you want to copy a standard program and you want to customize it. So if I want to copy it, I can put it as a Z and I can create it. So all the features of BAL SD01, whatever is there, it will be copied to this Z thing, and you can customize based on your requirement. Got it? Okay.
Mhm.
And similarly, if you have created a custom program, it is self-explanatory. You can delete that program as well, right? And this is like something we generally don't go for this environment analysis also. This is for the syntax check and this is for the activation. You must be aware that any custom program, whatever we will be using, right? We need to activate that particular programs. Then only those programs can be transportable from one system to another system, right? Unless and until, why we need to transport the system programs, as I told you. So we have these clients, right? In
Mhm.
your projects there will be different landscapes. These are called as the landscapes. Dev 800, 900 quality. So if I want to see this program in quality, how will I transfer? Like Z program I'm saying, custom program. If you have created anything in that, how will I see? Through that transport management. Okay. So like, so if you see this, so this particular presentation server, the program is starting. Okay, this will be the application layer, and then it comes to this database layer where the repository is there. We will go and check for the repository. Okay, there is a special unit for this repository. Okay, so what happens is, like, these are the stages of the program. First, the program starts, right? Here it comes in the ABAP runtime. You will have a selection screen. So selection screen mean, suppose if I executed it, suppose if I executed it, it is called as a selection screens. Okay, where the user will be able to input something, right? Say for example, if I want to write something here, I will see in the system what all things are available here. Okay, like this. Okay, I can just check that, and based on that, whatever it is there, I'm not sure if we'll have data here, but we don't have data in here, so that's why it is not displaying. Otherwise, the way it is displaying, right? Okay, it is a kind of a list. Okay, this is an ALB, simple list flight model. It is called as an ALB. Okay. So the runtime system sends the selection screen. Okay. So here what happens is in this, whenever the system loads the program context, what happens is the program context contains a memory area. Okay, for variables. I'm just telling you the theory here. Why I have not written it, because later point of time, if you are going for a certification, right, in ABAP, mostly this theory will be required for you. Okay. But in your generic scenario where you are put into a project, in that case, these theories will be just like a reference for you. Okay, you will just be able to understand what is going on behind the screens, right? So what happens here? The program context contains the memory areas for the variables and complex data objects. Okay, this information which will be there on the screens, that will be for the user dialog. User dialog as in which I told you, like if I want to input something here, correct? So this is a user dialog, and above the processing blocks. The runtime system gives all this programming information from the repository, which is the special part of the database. What it does is it will send the signal to the database. Once the user puts this input in the selection screen, then the ABAP program, like this processing block, will send a signal to the repository, in turn goes to the database table and fetch the particular data, right? The sample program has a selection screen. I showed you a variable in the structure in the data objects, and also a lot of ABAP processing blocks. So inside, when you go to there, right? See, so this is how we will create the selection screen. It is self-explanatory, right? So after this is one event. Okay, we will go to the events actually. After that, these things are called as the processing blocks. Okay, and this is one of the function module. We'll go in details, like don't get, like, not a problem. This is your first day, so I'm just like showing you so that you will be accustomed, right? Since the program contains a selection screen, right, the ABAP runtime system, okay, what it does is it sends it to the presentation server. The presentation server, what it does is it controls the program flow for as long as the user has not finished entering the data. So as long as the user will keep on entering the data, it will be like back and forth, it will keep on coming. Program starts, selection screen, database. Again, if the user inputs the screen, then the runtime system sends the selection screen data. Then the next part will be like where the input data values will be inserted into the data objects. Data objects means ये वाला है, like sorry for my Hindi. So this one. So these are all the data objects which are created. So whenever the user is inputting an value, that value gets stored in this data variables, and then what it does is the program requests the data required from the database. The database returns sends the list, right? So this is how this
So
is
it
how
so it interacts with the so
the
so it interacts with database for every entry, or once we feed all the data
yes,
into
that's what
execute, and it will go and fetch work with
huh,
the.
correct, you are right. So it's not interacting with every time with the database system. Say for example, whenever we are inputting the data, it goes into the data variable, then it does a perform, okay, or a select query. Then from the select query, it will go to the database, fetch the data, and then display you. That's as simple
This
as
is
that.
when
Whenever,
we press execute.
yeah, either you can press the execute here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you give any particular value. and you just want to display this thing, I'll show you in the debugging how it is actually going. Whatever
Okay.
particular selection you give, how it is actually going and playing with the data objects, and then it like how that ABAP runtime system, it triggers a sequential processing of the ABAP processing block. Those I will show you, right?
Right.
So after, like, the database returns the data record to the program. So the runtime system ensures that this data is placed in the appropriate data objects. Okay. Finally, when the runtime system sends the list, the layout, which generally you will see all the values here, if there is a value, right? The runtime system will send this list as a screen to the presentation server, and the user will be able to see this particular screen. Okay. Now, like back to our screen, like if you see this particular program, whatever I have explained in here, so you should be able to understand like how this principle of the architecture of this SAP NetWeaver application server works, and how a simple dialog program is executed by the ABAP runtime system, right?
Right.
So any doubt as such right now? This is just a basic thing what happens in here, correct?
Mhm.
Any doubt, if
The
like you can
screen you showed
let
for
me.
that, can you go back to that screens?
Yeah, this one, right?
This one, this screen also we are writing in the program, right? Like this heading list, key one, key two. Can you do an exit? So this
This
is
one.
all. This will fetch everything. This is all are part of the program.
Yes,
Like the
it's a
key
part
one
of the
is
program. This
mentioned
is
as
the top of
information.
page. Yes, yes.
Yeah,
This is the
yeah.
top of page. There is an event as well. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the in the event itself, like those things are taken into picture.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So
It's uh-huh.
see, I told you, right? Like, see, we have this. I was just displaying you the architecture. When we
Uh-huh.
go to these programs, right? Basic program things, there you will be learning about the events as well. Okay. How we are writing the program, how we are using the usage of, for all the things, we will be writing a simple basic programs like this, performing ABAP calculations and all, how we are making use of these events, those things will come into picture.
Right.
Okay. And then let's move on to the next unit, which is like this object navigator repository and ABAP programs, right? In this basically lesson, what you will do is like, you will just, I have not put in any images or anything, rather what I will do is I will just play around here itself. Okay. To display you
Mm-hmm.
like what happens in the navigator. Okay. So what is a navigator? It gives a short description of the repository and a brief overview of the most important component of the ABAP workbench, right? It presents the object navigator as a central development tool. What is the T code for that? T code. T code means the transaction code,
All right.
right? So this is the particular transaction code SC80. Okay, SC80. Right? You should always remember about this transaction codes, because these will, as an ABAP developer, all these transaction codes will be really helpful to you. Okay. So what happens here is, in the repository, you will have the objects, all the objects related to, let me just, now you are able to see this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what it does is, it actually gives a like, the here you will be able to see the object navigator as a central development tool. So can you see this particular screen, right? All the things you will find it here, like the application hierarchy, package, program, group, function modules. I was telling you about the function modules, classes, interfaces, what all objects you have created for your particular respective development, you will be able to see here. This is just a like, repository is a self-explainable term, right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically what happens is, the repository is actually divided into or subdivided into application components called as the modules. Modules means, when SD is called as a module, sales
Mm-hmm.
distribution module. MM module, right? For example, material management module. So there will be several packages. So which we will create, okay, for anything. And whenever a repository object will be created, repository object means, say for example, a program or a function module or anything, everything will be kept in a particular package, right? Let me know if you are getting any questions or anything as of now. So what it does is, like how you saw it in SE38, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can also create the program from this particular screen as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So basically there are like most important tools what are here. This is the ABAP editor, which I showed you, right? This is a program where we can create it. Here, from here also you can create the like dictionary objects. So dictionary object is the T code directly if you want to create is SE11. Okay. SE11. Database table views, types, type group, domain, search will go in deep when we try to create these database tables or the data dictionary, right? The function builder, for the function builder you have these things, so everything stays in that repository. Okay, so whatever you create from this individual transactions, it goes and sits in here,
Mm-hmm.
in here. Okay, whenever you see your local objects, you will be seeing all the things whatever is there. When it says temp, right, it becomes a local object. Okay, whenever you have assigned a particular package or a transport request, it becomes a transportable object. Local object which is stored in $temp, it will not be transportable. Okay, it is for your just this is again a function builder. When I was telling you about the function modules which we'll be using, right? And again, so for this T code is SE37. Okay, I told you about SE38, which will be an ABAP editor. Okay, this is a navigator, object navigator, or a repository. This will be ABAP dictionary. Okay, this will be function module builder, function builder. Okay, and then there is a thing called as a class builder, where you must be aware of the object oriented concepts, right? Wherever we create the classes and all, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is where we will create the classes. Okay. So if you see this object, right, navigator, so you can see there are two screens in here, right? So one screen is this navigation area. This is called as the navigation area. Okay. And this is called as the tool area. So if suppose, for example, I display any program, say for example, the basic program. So this is the tool area where you are able to see the hello world, right? So let's take, like, these are the subscreens. So inside our SAP system, whenever we come here, right, we have this navigation area at the left hand side and the tool area on the right hand side. Okay, whenever you double click on anything, everything will be displayed on this tool area.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and say for example, if I want to show you any package, okay, so there is one package which is created as zero with already. Inside that, he has created certain things like interfaces or anything. Okay. So if you see this, in this, you are able to see the interfaces and don't get worried about these particular things. Whenever we try to create it, you will be able to understand. But just understand that, okay, there is a concept called as package. Why we put it in a package? Sometimes you see there is a local object and a package. What is the major difference between these two is local objects are not transportable. Okay. But whenever any object are created in a package, okay, this becomes transportable between the different systems. Okay. So you can see like what say for example, let's if you want to display any package and you are not aware what all packages are there, so you can just put Z star.
Mhm.
Star means asterisk symbol. This is to search the wide range of all the objects which are created with that name. You're getting my point? So whenever you put this, you can see that these are the list of the packages which has been created so far in this particular server. Okay. Anything you just check, you can like, click on that. You can see what all things are there inside that particular package, right?
Mhm.
So say for example, if I go inside this, so what all things are created? Dictionary object, as I said, class library. There is another called as enhancements, which will come into the later topics, SE18 and SE19. But let me not confuse you with lot of transaction codes. So basically that is what it does. And what it does is like in this tool area, repository object is displayed in this corresponding tool. You can navigate between the objects that have been previously displayed, right? So say for example, if you want to go back to the hello world, so I was showing you hello world and then I went back to another thing, so it came to this particular thing, right? And if you want to create any particular program, right? So in here also, say for example, I want to make use of this particular package. Okay, so what you can do is you can right click, create, and you can create all these things. Okay. So let's do this, like let's start to create a package, simple package. Okay. See, if there will be this particular package, it will display, but when we press enter, right, it says it doesn't exist, right?
Mhm.
So before creating a package, there is one more thing which we should do is to create a transport request, because for every package it will be stored in the transport request, then only you can create a package. So to
Oh,
create a, yeah, to create a transport request, there is another T code called as SC01. Okay, this is a transport manager, transport organizer, sorry.
so a TR is
Eh,
needed to create a package every time.
yes, see, basically what happens is whenever you get into a project, right, they
Mhm.
will be giving you based on the components like modules. Suppose in a particular project, SD is involved, MM is
Mhm.
involved, FI is involved. So
Mhm.
your manager or your like the project manager, he will give you different packages pertaining to the different modules. For SD, they would have created a separate package. For MM, they would have created the package. So whenever you develop any program, say for example, there is a requirement from the SD side, okay, sales and
Mhm.
distribution side. So what you will do is whatever program you will create, you will keep it in the particular SD package. Okay. So, and also this transport organizer, you will not be creating. Generally, in the programs also, they will be giving you that particular transport request. Okay, this is the transport request, this is the package, and you have to create your programs under this particular thing. But I am also showing you how you can create your own transport request. But generally in a particular program, when you are doing any implementation projects or anything, you will not be creating any. You will create, there are certain projects where you, they will ask you to go and create the workbench or the customizing request, but generally it is given by the project manager.
So when
Okay.
you move the TR, everything which is there in the TR, all the packages will move, not only
No,
our package.
yes, like generally what happens is if you put it under the package, it will
Mm.
move. And every time what happens is the system is like this. Say, for example, let me show you how you create a particular workbench request. There are different things here, right? Generally,
Mhm.
what we do is we work with these three things. Okay.
Okay.
Customizing request, workbench request, transport of copies. Customizing request, you must be aware. Am I clear so far? Before I move on to this thing, I'll show you how to, since we have just 10 minutes now, I will just show you how to create a request, how to put the package under that request, and then I will create a small program and put it in that package. So that is the agenda now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you what is the difference in here. So what happens is customizing request, you must be aware whenever you do a config, right, through SPRO,
Mm-hmm.
correct?
Mm-hmm.
You will be aware. Babu, are you aware SPRO and config and customizing request?
No, 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 Remy.
Okay, okay, no idea. That's fine. Okay, so whenever that comes into the functional concepts, okay, the functional will generally deal with these customizing requests. Okay, we as a developer we mostly work on the workbench request. What do you mean by the workbench request? All these things, whatever I said, right? SE38 for the ABAP editor and the data dictionary objects and all the like class enhancement, everything will come into the workbench request. So as of now, I am creating a workbench request. Okay. I will give a short description, say for example, um, ABAP training. Okay. And here, since I don't have any project as of now, so we can keep it as a blank. Okay. And I create, see, this is how the transport request it came in, right? Now, what it shows is the unclassified. So what you will have to do is it will go there. You have to change its type to a development or a correction. Okay, unclassified is not the correct one. Generally, whenever you create it, it becomes an unclassified. But since you are involved in the development and correction, so you have to put it in here. Generally, what happens is sometimes during the transport management, whenever the transport requests, like going forward, when you go and handle certain implementation programs and all, what happens is there are certain transport requests which will end up in errors. Okay, so at that time you will go with the repair. Okay, so now we have this particular transport request. Now what I will do is I will go to this SE80. And I will try to create this package. Now it shows that it doesn't exist, right? So I will create an package here. I will say that ABAP training. Okay. Generally, that is what I was saying you, right? The application component, either it is an SD or MM or anything. So
Mm-hmm.
those things you will get to understand from from your project perspective. Okay. Since we don't have any specific requirement right now, so we can ignore this particular thing and we can move on to the next part, which is this. So the software component will always be the home, and so I think for this particular server, they would have maintained something called as transport layer is the air. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm not aware of this landscaping for the what is this company which
Max Munus.
Max Munus. I am forgetting. Yeah. So I'm not aware. So let me see. So it is self-explanatory again. So it is a production system is ZEC3, and probably this is the development system ZAR. Okay. So that is the package. So, but generally when you go to the project, right, it will display like ZDev development, then ZQ, which will be quality, and then Z production or PRP or something like that. Okay. So that is what is the transport layer. Okay. And we don't have a super package or anything. So say for example if I try to create it, see, so what happens is you have to be careful here what transport request it is displaying. We have created our own transport request, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we'll go to our own request and we'll see that ABAP training is the one which we created. You got my point? So I
Mm-hmm.
will just double click on this. Okay, then this particular package got assigned to this workbench request.
Okay.
Clear, right? So
Mm-hmm.
When you put inside this, now everything whatever we will like create going forward, it will be under this GE ABAP training. Okay.
Right.
So now, say for example, I want to create a small program, just a very minor program. If I want to create, either I can create from here, okay, or I can go and create through SE38. Let's
Say
try to
30.
create it from here. Okay, just a simple program. Okay, I will just replicate the same Z hello world. See, say for example, I have created already this one, right, in a local package. I will just delete this and I will create once more. Okay. Why to create the same thing again and again, right? Okay, it got deleted. So if I want to create here, program Z hello world. So what happens here is it will be created by this, and this is a type of execute. I will go through these things. Okay, whenever we create anything through SE38, it is an executable program. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
include program will not be executable. That comes under like whenever so say for example in your program there are multiple requirements. Okay, you have to, I will show you how you do a modularization inside an executable program. So inside an executable program you will be using the include programs. Okay, and many routines are also there, just like be accustomed to these naming things. Okay, I'll go forward, like going forward I'll let you know. So in the routines also, whenever copy control routines and all VOFM, okay, whenever we come to there also we will have this include program. As of now, don't worry about this. Then there is something called as a module pool. Okay, this is called as a dialogue programming. Then there is something called as a function group. Whenever we create the function modules, I'll come to this function group. Then there is something called as subroutine pools. Okay, again, this will also come in later chapters. Okay, so up till this much type pools we generally create it. Okay, so as of now, whenever we create this program, we'll give this as an executable program, and this fixed point arithmetic and Unicode checks active will always be by default. uh, it will be clicked. If
Mm-hmm.
suppose for example if you remove this now, so what happens is any calculations or anything whatever you do, it will not come under this fixed point arithmetic, then it will throw you error. Okay, so always this has to be clicked. Okay, when you save it, see what it does. It will ask for this package. So can you see this? It is
Mm-hmm.
automatically assigning it into the ABAP package, right? So whatever we created. And then when you save it, then it goes to the transport request automatically, right? Which we created for ours. And then this is how your program is created. Now, if you see, it is in the inactive state.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The program earlier which I had created, that was in a local package. Okay, local object. But now whatever I've created, it is in this package. That means it is transportable. Okay. Say for example, I'll write a very small piece of query like write. There is a keyword called as write hello world. Sorry. Okay. And what I will do is I will just activate it. So it will give you this particular screen which will display. See, this is not belonging to us. There are other developers also who are working currently in this system. That's why you are able to see all the development, but you have to only activate yours. Okay, whatever you are working on. So once you activate it, it becomes active. See, again, say for example, I will do like this. Okay. And again, I try to activate. What happens? Can you see? It gives me an error. Why? because every like thing, whatever we write it here, it will have to end it with a full stop. So
Mhm.
for checking any syntax error, you have to use this. Okay. And now if you want to display it in the complete, sorry, I'm just going beyond it, but just like I'll wrap it up fast. So like whenever you want to display the full screen, you can put it this icon. Can you see this
But
icon?
Rimi, I have one question here.
Yeah.
What see you have written right hello world, right? With
Huh.
the first this colons.
Huh.
So that means you are declaring a data type. Is it right?
No, no, no.
The,
This is not a data type. It's just a keyword which has been used to display hello world. It's not a data type. I will come to the
then
data type.
It's like
okay.
print out, Ellen.
It's
Yeah, yeah.
just a printout. Okay, so
Okay.
when you activate it, right, and when you try to display, we are not, see, data types comes into picture when you want to store any value. Say for example, how we declare a data type is, suppose a type C. Okay, this is
Okay.
character, a is a variable, at that time you will be using. So now if a is equal to 1, then this is called as a data type. And
Okay.
then when you want to display a, write a. Okay, so when I do this, let's check this, and if you activate it, also there is something called as pretty printer.
Pretty printer.
There are certain pretty printer settings also which I can display, show you in the SE38. What happens is the keyword will always be in the like now the pretty printer is not there. If you see, report is there in the caps, but write data, right. So what we will do is generally the keywords we will use it in the block, and the rest of the letters in the small pattern. Okay, but now if I want to execute it, right, what happens? Hello world is first displaying and then one, right? So this is a data type.
I have one more question here. So directly we are
Yes.
putting right hello world, right? Generally, if we write something, we might be writing. If you take another course for displaying, we might be writing some system.debug or printf or like that, right? Uh,
Printf is something in the C which you would
See,
have
yeah,
used.
exactly. For displaying point of view, I'm asking. So if you write
Correct.
directly, you're
Correct.
displaying, right? So what would be the
Hmm.
command to display this hello world? It is nothing to do over here. Directly, we would be displaying.
That this is the thing which you will use to display. Right.
Okay,
Right is the keyword.
okay. For every print for display, we might be writing right. Okay,
As of now, right. Okay. But
okay.
again, when going forward, when I will show you how you will display the internal table, the
Okay.
records, this thing, whatever you saw, right, in the earlier program which I was showing you, which was the standard program which I was displaying you, right?
Yeah.
We have something called as ALV list.
Yeah.
Okay. So write is the first basic thing what we will do. Okay. Whenever you start your program, you will use the write
Yeah,
statement. But when you
could you
execute
please
it,
brief all those statements one day because what could be the basic ones and what could be used for the tables and what could be, yeah.
we have this thing,
Okay,
no?
okay,
We
cool.
have this everything in unit 4.
Okay, okay,
Okay.
okay.
So don't worry.
Yeah,
We will go step by step for every
okay.
thing. So if you see this, right, this is not with a write statement.
Mhm.
It is with something else. Okay, which I will show you when we start creating the
Okay,
programs. Okay. But as of now, just to display any particular statement or anything, because it is not, this particular write statement is not a like, it is not holding any particular value. Okay, when you declare something like that, this allocates a memory. A type C, this allocates a memory. When you are placing this one into a, then it allocates a memory, and this write is just to display a particular thing, whatever you are declaring it here. Got my point? Yeah.
Mm.
So the package is created, and our TR is created, and inside that we just created a small program. Okay. So in the next sessions, what we will do is we will go deep into this, in here also you can just go around and just check what all things are there already. Okay, so active, inactive, you can say, like other objects, if you want to see that also you can display. These are all the debugger things. Pattern comes into picture when I will show you, if in a program, if you want to display any function module or a class, if you want to use, that time pattern will be used. Okay,
Correct.
so that's it. Any other doubts you have as of now, whatever we discussed so far?
No,